Craig, back to you.
I like that. Okay, quick and easy. and the reason why Robert hands it back to me is because there is a certain individual. Yes, finally, whoever did that in the meeting chat, there is a birthday girl amongst us. And being that it is a birthday girl amongst us or a birthday person amongst us, we, of course, in our unlimited wisdom fashion, have to celebrate happy birthday to Deborah Bronner in our own unique way. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everybody and we are going to sing happy birthday in our unique way that we have done in the past to Deborah Bronner. So, there, everybody should be able to unmute themselves on the count of three. Let's get it started. 1, 2, 3. Happy
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 birthday
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 to
you.
to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
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 Happy
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 birthday,
birthday,
dear
dear
Deborah.
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 Happy
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 birthday
birthday
to
birthday
you.
to
to
you.
you.
Yay!
Wow, 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 wow,
Thank
wow,
you, thank you,
wow, wow.
everyone. I
And
love you
many
all.
more,
Thank
and
you
many
for
more.
blessing my day. Thank you. I'm going to go off and celebrate. I'll catch you all later. Great guy.
What?
Love you. Thank
You
you,
came
Robert,
on to
Terry, and
get
everyone.
you came
Pardon?
on to go sung happy birthday, and now you're gonna go party?
Yeah. I waited all day for the happy birthday singing. Thank you.
I
Thank
get
you.
it.
I
I
love
get
you
it.
guys.
Have a
Bye
good night. Be
bye.
safe.
God
Bye
bless.
bye.
I'll catch you
Take care,
later.
Deborah. Happy
Bye
birthday.
bye.
All right. Everybody hang on while we reset a little bit, and we'll be underway in just a moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And whenever you're ready.
Well, thank you, Craig. Hello, Unlimited Wisdom family and friends. I love you. I love you. I love you, members. Hi, Mary. Hi, Scott. Hi, Deborah Bronner, Jim, Melody, Shelly, Dustin, Sandy, Deborah Grady, Coach Bob, Lisa Marie, and my lovely wife, Terry, and the hostess with the mostest, Mr. CJ Craig Jackman. I love and appreciate you. And it was fun to sing happy birthday in the way that we do it. So, Deborah, have a great time. Well, like I promised yesterday, the subject today is your value. Your value. So, like we talked about yesterday, I sort of want to get into your mindset a little bit, in your heart space. That again, if you just knew that you knew that you knew that you were a miracle, that you were unique. Like I said yesterday, I love that I just pulled that out of nowhere. That if you have something that's very unique, a one of a kind, whether it's a stamp or anything. My son was showing me some stuff that he's collected that has like double print on it, and if you get like a messed up something like a $100 bill that's been printed on, that makes it very rare that it's got like a double print on it or a mess up or something like that, and it's like, so when you think that uniqueness is very valuable, and let me use this word, priceless. Do you believe that you could get to a mindset, a heart space of being not only unique, but priceless? Because I know that some of you have probably have seen this meme, and it's a really cool meme. And it just says, if you consistently discount who you are, then that's why everybody else discounts you. And it's like, it's a great meme. It shows like, 5% off, 10% off, 15, 30%. And when I first got into the space of being online, I remember the first time that someone asked me, they said, "Hey, would you speak at our event?" And I said, "Sure." And they go, "What would that take?" And I said, An invitation. And so I've spoken at people's events and paid for my air flight, my hotel room, and my meals. So if you're speaking at an event and then someone, that knows you, you know, they then reach out to the person, that you spoke at their event and they go, hey, what did it cost? I just want to know what it cost to have Robert Hollis speak at your event. No, I just asked him and he didn't charge me anything. He didn't even ask me for a ride from the airport.
They did serve him a shitty meal, though.
I'm trying to think of what one you're talking about. Terry, man, it's like, he's throwing some shade some people's way. But it's true.
It is what it is, man.
It's 100% true. So the thing again, if you discount yourself, and I know that a lot of people, it's so funny, I've said this when it comes to being entrepreneurs, right? Is I tell people all the time, the reason that the majority, when I say majority, let's use a number, 99%. Why 99% of entrepreneurs don't make money, even if you're an entrepreneur or a independent contractor for an affiliate company or a network marketing company, is because if you buy product to maintain your position and then you give that product away, you're running a nonprofit. It's like you do your taxes at the end of the year and you see what your little business makes, right? And it's got a lot of tax write-offs, including giving away product. And some people are really, really nice. You guys, I know none of you know people that have done this, but like you even pay their way in. You know what I mean? You also, pay their monthly qualification. You pay for their seminars. Yeah, you pay for their seminar, you know what I mean? And their room and their hotel to go to an event. I know that you guys know no one that would ever do something like that. But let me share with you just a way that you can forgive yourself and move on. You just got to look at it like tithing. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, it doesn't make who you tied to. Just look at it and say, listen, I expect I don't know, remember the numbers, but it's like 3, 5, or 10% return. I'm just going to give it over, turn it over to God and move on. And so what I really want you to think about is, again, if I ask you this question and you had to give me a number, and like we did on the last couple of, deals, I'm sort of being confrontive a little bit, but I'm not doing it. But if I asked you to tell me what you're worth, what your value is, what would you say? Because I did cover this a little bit yesterday. You know what I mean? When I said, man, if you just look at yourself and the world values a person that didn't get educated, that maybe didn't do well in school, didn't get continued education, and now that person is worth X amount of dollars, which is usually, wow, they actually have a name for it. You guys will never believe this. It's called minimum wage. I mean, the thing that is called minimum wage. For those of you that do get paid more than minimum wage, I'll give you another thing that you're getting, you got paid, or are getting paid this way. Why do they call your income, all of your income? Why do they call it gross? What is your gross income? It's like, because it sounds gross when you say it. It's like, well, my income is 57,000, or my income's 125,000. And then why do we all do this? It's like, well, how much do you make? Well, I work on salary. Well, how much do you get paid? I get paid $122,000 salary. Is that before taxes? Because we know that that's not your real income. Because there's a lot of people out there in the world that talk about another kind of income, and that's called take home. What is your take home pay? And again, when you figure out ways to make yourself valuable, that it's like I'm watching Matt go through this right now. You know what I mean? That all of a sudden it's like, wow, I had a $500 day. See, that sounds like nothing until you take it times 30. See what I mean? And it's like, wow, I had $1,000 day. Well, what's better than $1,000 day is I've had $1,000 a day for 4 days in a row, for a week in a row, for a month in a row. And some of you have seen a lot of old posts of mine, and it's like it gets a little funner when you say, well, I've been with the company for 7 years, and my average income is $2,200 a day. And then people go like, geez. And then you can even break it down, because if a person actually makes an 8-hour day as average, usually when I put that I'm making, $2,200 a day, it's usually 24 hours, because I'm like going, listen, I get paid when I'm sleeping. But my biggest point I want to make here is that there's no way that you can attract or allow that kind of money to come to you if you don't feel you're worth it. All right? So you got to be worth that money. And now when I see Matthew, really, really, really pouring into some big jobs, he sent, I don't know if he sent this to all of us or just Terry and I, but Alex Hermosi came out and said, you want to make big money? Find people that have big money and solve their problems. Because a lot of people sometimes will build something and try to sell a product to a bunch of people that don't have money. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, if you can do an incredible creation, why not solve a problem for someone that's worth millions of dollars? Solve rich people's problems and they pay better. Thank you, honey. And so here's another thought, right? The other thought is that I shared with you guys that I run into two groups of people when I come to this. There's one group of people that when you talk about buying something for themselves, and you guys will hear me say this, it's like, and it's just the way that I feel, not think. I feel like I'm just so happy and grateful that Terry allows me to sleep in her home. Some of you get that really, really, really good. It's like, this is Terry's home, right? And it's like people go, what kind of car do you drive? I don't drive any car. My wife's she's got two cars. She's got her winter car and her summer car. She's got her Escalade for the winter. And then she's got her, Tesla Plaid, for her little go-kart or her little errands when it's not snowing. I should say that, not winter car. You've got a snow vehicle and a non-snow vehicle. And it's like, but again, I see incredible value in my wife, right? So, it's like, I believe that she never gets paid enough.
Same.
And I also have another thing that I did to trick myself. Is like, I'm part of a company that my wife and my son own, and they're the only ones that are on payroll. Why wouldn't I put myself on payroll? Value. See, so I'm going to teach you guys right now, if you look at other people as being valuable and you would do everything for them, but you don't do anything for you, then you got to force yourself to think about their needs. like a charity. So now what you do is you start saying, I'll give money to charity. My two favorite charities right now is the Hollis family, and that's Terry, and then Matthew, Hannah, and Ezra. See, that's another part of my family. And my older son, before he started his company, his family was another charity that I gave to. There was always this thing before of course, Kyle gets paid, all the time. It's like, it's fun to pay him. I'm looking forward to raising his payment, right? And so one of the things that you guys got to do is, again, you got to figure out that you need more money. And here's another twist I'll give you guys. I love this twist. And, so when people go, I seen a video the other day, and Terry was doing a video. And then as she was doing the video, she was filming our youngest son, Kyle, and he was driving our Rolls Royce Ghost, right? So she says, here's Kyle driving the Ghost. We're going over to grandma's house, right? And the reason that I bring that up is that I remember when I was young that you always get these people, if you post your house or you post that you went on vacation or you post a vehicle, and people reach out to you and go, a lot of that money, you could have helped a lot of people with that money. You know what I mean? Because you just got trolls, you just got haters, you just got, whatever it is, right? And so my mentor already knew that he had to change our thinking about this, your paradigm, your perspective, right? Your philosophy. And so he would bring up anything, so of course the red personalities, right? The type A personalities, they don't have any problems. Like, what is your dream car? My dream car is a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce. And he goes, listen, do you know how many employees Rolls Royce has? No, I don't. So when someone sees you with that car and they go, you know what, you could have supported people. I supported all the people and the children that works for Rolls Royce. Some people, that's their job. What if no one bought a Rolls Royce? They would lay them off and they would have skinny kids. So that was the thought that I always had in my mind. So have you ever driven away around and you see homes, right? We all see homes when you drive around. But how many of you live in a neighborhood where you know where the neighborhood is that has the 1, the 2, the 3, the $5 million homes? It's like you can find these nowadays, it's probably in a gated community. But when you know where people have those homes, it's like, again, your mind just goes, oh my God, you could do so much more with that money. And again, there's people that make custom homes. And the people that make custom homes have a lot of employees that work for them. So the reason that you need to buy a custom home is because you need to feed their skinny kids. That was always the thought, whether it was an automobile, a vacation, a boat, anything that's luxury. You know what I mean? This is a joke, so please take it as a joke. But I seen a post one time that said, wow, do you notice that everyone that has a boat is a Trump supporter? And the post says, of course it is, because the government doesn't give away boats.
Basically, they don't give away everything.
That's a luxury thing. So that means people have responsibility, work their ass off, make extra money, and get a boat. Welfare doesn't give away a boat. But hey, after seeing what happened in Michigan, it looks like we all could get a boat. She's going, I know. Getting back to value. I already shared with you guys something, and you guys remember I cracked myself up. I asked, who is going to win the election? And AI came back and said, the person that gets the most people to vote. So when you see someone wins a primary or wins a candidacy like mayor in New York, what did that person do to get his people to show up? Is it really their fault if they decided to run for an office and then they found a way to get their people excited to show up and vote? I don't think that's their fault. I think it's the other side's fault that doesn't find a real candidate and can't get their people to show up and vote. No one wants to hear that. So what's the value of the other candidate? You know what I mean? And then I'll get off that subject because it still comes back to value. Because again, the whole key is how can you increase your value? Right? So this is how I figured it out. So every one of you got to know that when I got involved as being an entrepreneur, I couldn't have been at a worse place for value. Because I lost my identity of even being a good auto mechanic. I was told that I couldn't do that anymore. So I had like a really bad sense of value. In fact, my value was so low that I thought that Terry would be better with anybody else but me. Because I had this thought in my mind that if I can't take care of her and I can't provide for her, then I shouldn't be with her. She costs a lot of money, man. A lot of money.
The cheapest bitch you'll ever see.
Yeah, really. Okay. That's that's your perception? Yeah. But one of the things is that the whole point of understanding where your identity is and you feel like you're not worthy and you feel like you don't have value, you don't feel like you're enough, you don't feel loved, you don't feel all of these things, right? Here's something that no one ever loves to hear. You guys know already where I'm going, but this video will be for all the new thousands and tens of thousands that we bring into the company. You know, Unlimited Wisdom, the community, is that when you really, really think about value, it's all about, if you read all the personal development books, you are a person that deals with the Bible, whatever. If you really understand the way that you grow a garden is you have to plant the seeds that you want to grow. And when I first heard this at a really bad part of my identity is it was like, listen, if you want people to give to you, if you want things to come to you, if you want love, you got to give love. If you want kindness, you got to give kindness. And I'm like, yeah, but okay, so what about money? If you don't have money, then you can't give money to get money. And it was really, really simple. It's like, no, but people are worth money. So this is where you got this funny joke that I always remember. I know Terry knows it too. But if I asked every one of you, where does money come from? If you've heard me do this, it's like, where does money come from? It doesn't come from the Federal Reserve. It doesn't come from dust in the trees. Yeah, money doesn't come from trees. But, you know, it's like, we heard that, you know, but it's money. Money comes from people. Money comes from people. Dogs don't carry a wallet. Okay? So if money comes from people, you need to offer them something of value. So before I became everything that I am, the only thing that I knew of value was the person that I was learning from. See, I knew they had value. And I knew that they knew how to help other people get value. So all I did was exactly what Sean did to me in my book. It's like, listen, I know this person that has made 62 grand his last 30 days. I seen his check. I'd like to introduce you to him. And see, here's where people really mess up. They go, yeah, but if I introduce people to you, how does that make me money? See, then you don't understand how the universe works. You can be kind to somebody else that's not kind to you. See, everybody looks at the whole concept and principle of giving, that if I give to somebody, then I expect them to return it. No. If you really, really get your expectations in the right place and your imagination in the right place, when I give my time and effort to Dustin, I just know that it's coming back. I don't expect it to come back from Dustin. If I expected it to come back from the people that I serve and the people that I give, it's like, Deborah is always like on Mondays going and giving the homeless sandwiches. I don't think she ever is looking forward to having a couple of the people that she gives sandwiches to knock on her door and say, hey, here's a couple of sandwiches. I just wanted to make sure you gave me sandwiches. I wanted to give you a couple of sandwiches back. Does that make sense to you guys? And it's like, so we expect when we love someone or we're kind to someone or we're respectful to someone or we give of our time. See, now here's where you really can turn everything on its head. If you would say that you're valuable, let's just use a dollar figure per hour. All right? So let's say that Melody is worth $2,000 an hour. All right? If she's worth that, then if she gives and volunteers her time to someone that doesn't have the money, does she still have $2,000 coming to her? The answer is yes. So if you figure out what your time is worth, and then you're volunteering that time, and you expect that time, ask it to come back to you, then it comes back to you in different forms, from different aspects. So over the years, I've always had people that would come up to me and say, Robert, I'm not interested in becoming an independent distributor or getting involved in your company, but I want to invest in you. So when I was building Life Mechanic, this guy was saying, hey, if you can teach me what you do, I'll give you $100,000. And so you know what Matt and I did? Matt and I and Terry, Hannah, we're all involved in this. We actually put together a seminar for him, had the seminar in his city, built it at a hotel, had all of our audience show up. Melody was there. And so we let him do half of the speaking of the event and videotaped it. So when we got done with him, he had an event that was his, that was on film, that we sold tickets to, and it went to his event. When we got done, Rob was a paid speaker at his own event and had videos. What is that worth? So he didn't have to have in his mind, one day I'll get here, one day I'll get here, one day I'll get here. No, he could immediately put on his website that Matt helped him with, and it was a video and different clips of him speaking, and now he's a speaker. Do you guys get that? And it's like, so it's pretty amazing some of the stuff you can do for people if they know what they want. right? And so that's what I wanted to share with you. I want you to make sure that you write down, what am I worth? What am I worth? And then write down the things that you would love in your life. And you just got to have the faith and belief that if you give that it's going to come back to you. Okay? So the way that I did it, and I've said this all the time, if you're not a author, what would be the perfect thing if you were an author? What would you like once you became an author and you got a book, right? Once you have an author and you have a book, what would be the next thing that you want to happen? You would want people to buy the book, right? You'd want people to read it. You'd want people to give you a book review, right? And so you got to think about that. So now that you want that, let me ask you a simple question. Have you bought other people's books and have you given them a book review? And have you promoted their book? And people go, no. Then how is that going to happen for you if you don't do it for somebody else? Just really interesting. People want comments. They want likes. They want shares. They want all this stuff on their social media, but they got to learn to do that for other people. And they got to learn to do that for other people until the giving's just giving with nothing expected in return. When you finally get to the place that you just give and you give and you give, and you guys have heard me say this, my mentor said to me, you got to have a big, audacious, giant goal. You got to have something, I think, that comes out of the art of thinking big. But you just got to have this goal that is just crazy. And I thought, what is the biggest gift? What is the biggest thing I can think of? And it immediately came to me that I'm just going to outgive God. Now, as soon as I said that, I said, that's never going to happen. But that's the biggest thing I could think about. So then that's that's what I started doing. And I see Coach Bob here, put car and house. When you want stuff like that, especially for people that you love, Bob, it's like, me, how many homes do you think that you and I have been in? If you were like forced to say a number.
7.
Houses that we've gone in and looked at?
Oh, looked at?
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know. A lot. We used to go once a week to Newport.
We would go in neighborhoods. That's 7 homes that we lived in. Right? Think of that, you guys.
I want a home with no stairs. All downstairs.
Yeah. Everything that we utilize needs to be on a ground floor. Everything else can. But no, like Terry said, every weekend we would go out looking at homes. If you want to get into a dream state, that is the best. And when I first met my mentor, he would say, take a mason jar. You know what I mean? And he would say, take a mason jar. And what you would do is go to the car dealership that you want a car in. And then you go to that and you get a picture in the car. And then you open the jar up and get the new car smell the best that you can. And then you take the picture of you in the car and then put it in the jar and then set that jar up someplace. I got an old video. Of course, you can do video now, right? But I have an old video of Matthew and what kind of car was his dream car? Huh?
Audi 8.
He had and sitting in a dealership with it running. It was an Audi 8. Now, this is before Teslas, right? But but it is interesting, right?
To San Diego one time, and they had a red Tesla sitting in one of the malls in San Diego, and Hannah got in it, and I took her picture, and they've had 3 red Teslas since. So
Interesting, huh? Yeah. So again, you know, are you worthy of that? And then to get it into a larger part of the imagination is like if they allow you to take it for a test drive, that's cool. But then you have to imagine yourself like pulling up to an intersection and you're the only one in the car. And you have people looking at you and just asking, hey, how do you feel? Because there's always these people all the time that goes, I don't give a shit about that stuff. And I'll just be bold and honest with you. It's okay to lie to yourself, but you got to find a way to stop doing that. Because I've let people drive my cars and they look different. You know what I mean? So I allowed a lot of people to drive my Rolls Royce Ghost. And they just, when they were driving it, they just seemed different. How many of you guys are understanding? It's like, and get this, I had a lot of people that said, I just can't do it. I see Melody say very true. If I ever talk to Scott Reacher, you know, Scott Klosser, the person that introduced me to Melody, I cannot reach out to him and go, Scott, I see you got married. Congratulations. I see you had your 2nd anniversary. That's awesome. I just pray that everything's going good. Just wanted to say hi. And if you went up my Facebook Messenger with him, he says the same message verbatim every time I reach out to him. Oh my God, when you asked me to get in the Rolls Royce and I streamed it live. So he was in the Rolls Royce and he streamed it on his Facebook. And while he did it, of course, I looked, you know, back at him and I said, hi, Scott. You know what I mean? And he's going, I'm riding around in a Rolls Royce. And again, it's not, you know, this. It's not anything to do with I got this, you don't. Right? But, you know, Terry's always been this way. Terry is not shy about ever talking about how she feels when she drives her vehicles. You know what I mean? And I love it that she feels that way. I love that somebody that I love, that I care for, that I want to protect is driving the car that she wants to drive. Now, for those of you that like to have your significant other, the person that you love around, that becomes sort of a problem because Terry's always got some place to go. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm joking, but it's like, hey, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. It's like, but do me a huge personal favor. I'm not going to hold you accountable for this. Maybe Melody will if she knows you, but I want you guys to really think and ask yourself the question: what am I worth? Because even if it's a low number, you can't change what you won't measure. Are you guys hearing me? You won't change what you don't measure. And the big equivalent of an entrepreneur is, again, an entrepreneur just offers people things of value that they'll change in exchange for their credit or their value. You know, I'll do one joke that I think that people probably won't like this joke, but like one of the biggest issues that are in the world right now in the United States is this whole concept called affordability, right? It's just no one ever wants to go back to the 4 years prior to the 2 years and found out that everyone had higher everything, but no one talked about it. I always thought that that was really interesting, right? So now we're talking about affordability. But as we talk about affordability in the politics, Jay-Z comes out and does a new concert, and he had to add a second day right behind it
Shocking.
because the average ticket was like $800, and he sold it out 2 days in a row. So someone really needs to stop bullshitting each other. When you're walking around in $400 sneakers and $200 jeans that you can't pull up around your waist, and you got $1,000 iPhone, $300 hat on your head, and you can afford a $600 and $800 ticket to a Jay-Z concert, I don't think the rest of the world would call that you're hurting from affordability. You guys know what I'm talking about? If the world right now, especially the United States, is suffering from anything, it's the attitude of gratitude. Because if you really, really looked and felt like you had gratitude in your life, that's the way you can have the universe give you more. But if you're always walking around talking about who stole my land, why would the universe want to give you more land if you allow somebody to steal it? That's a meme. Right? That would probably catch a lot of hate. Why do you want me to give your land back? You'd let somebody steal it again. You can't protect your own land. Oh, but your ancestors took it from somebody else. I like that, Jim. That's one of Terry's favorite books.
Oh yeah, who moved my cheese?
Who moved my cheese? So find out exactly what you're worth. Keep changing it. Again, work toward getting gooder. And I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. I know tomorrow is our first inner circle. Craig, do we have it where if people are not part of the inner circle that they can't get in?
That is up to you. I think right now it's open.
No, it needs to shut down.
All right, then we will make that arrangement.
So just inner circle people need to be on the inner circle call tomorrow.
Sounds good. We
All
will
right.
take care of that.
Oh, people that are the two legends that are on here, Melody and Craig, legendary. What is it?
Yeah, legends. That's what you have
Okay.
it right here.
Okay.
Or
and then
legacies. We are known as legacies.
Okay, legacies. And then all the people that are wisdom council, you're part of the inner circle. That's one step above. So all the wisdom council people, if you're on the wisdom council, then you're really, you got everything. All right. So I think we only have a couple of positions left, so make sure to grab those. It will be worth it. I don't know what. Hey, you guys want to talk about value? What is it worth to have lifetime with me every day? Right, Sandy? I got to find a way to get Terry to start believing that again.
I need a refund.
Yeah, Terry wants a refund. It's like
Make a face like Sandy just did, like the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone.
yeah.
There you go.
All right. I love you guys. Have a great, great, great day and talk to you soon. See you tomorrow.